Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Podcast Every Day. It's great to have you with us.
And a huge hello from me too. I'm Sarah, and I'm super excited for today's episode, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Sarah, especially because we're diving into a topic that I think is incredibly relevant for everyone, no matter where you are in the world.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Before we jump in, a quick reminder to all our amazing listeners. If you're enjoying the podcast, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review.
Yes, your support really helps us reach more learners, and we truly appreciate it. It helps us keep making these episodes for you.
Absolutely. And today, we're talking about something that can literally change your life, your relationships, and even your English fluency. We're talking about the power of not reacting.
That's right, Sarah. It's a skill that takes practice, but the benefits are immense. So get ready to dive deep into how mastering this can make a huge difference. All right, so today we're really going to dig into what the power of not reacting actually means and why it's such a valuable skill, not just for life, but for your English learning journey too.
Exactly, Alex. I think a lot of people might hear not reacting and think it means being passive or ignoring things. But it's actually the complete opposite. It's about being intentional and thoughtful.
That's a great point, Sarah. It's about pausing, taking a breath, and choosing your response instead of letting your emotions or impulses take over. In English, we have a phrase for that, to keep your cool.
Oh, I love that one. Keep your cool. It's like, imagine someone cuts you off in traffic and your first instinct is to honk and yell. But if you keep your cool, you just take a deep breath and let it go. No road rage.
Exactly, and for English learners, this is so important. Think about when you're in a conversation and someone says something you don't quite understand, or perhaps you feel a bit challenged. Your first reaction might be panic or to just shut down.
Yes, I've been there. My face would get red and I just want to disappear. But the power of not reacting means you can instead take a beat.
Take a beat. That's a great idiom. It means to pause just for a moment to collect your thoughts before responding. It's like a mental breath. Instead of reacting instantly, you give yourself a tiny bit of time.
Exactly, and this is where it ties into fluency. If you can take a beat when you're unsure, you can then formulate a question or ask for clarification, rather than just nodding along pretending you understood. This leads to real progress.
Absolutely, it's about being proactive rather than reactive. Another way to put it is to respond, not react. Reacting is often an emotional, impulsive outburst. Responding is a considered, thoughtful action.
Respond, not react. I love that distinction. It perfectly encapsulates the idea. Imagine someone critiques your English and your first reaction is to get defensive. But if you respond, you might say, "Thank you for the feedback. Can you give me an example?"
Exactly, you're taking control of the situation and turning it into a learning opportunity. It's not about being a doormat, but about being strategic. We also have the phrase to bite your tongue.
Oh, bite your tongue is a classic. It means you really want to say something, often something negative or impulsive, but you stop yourself. Like, your friend tells you a ridiculous story and you just want to blurt out, "That's impossible." But you bite your tongue and listen.
Precisely, and again, this applies to English. If you're tempted to correct someone's grammar in a social setting, sometimes it's better to bite your tongue and prioritize the flow of conversation, especially if you're not their teacher.
That's a fantastic example. So, to recap our key phrases for today, keep your cool, take a beat, respond, not react, and bite your tongue. These are all about choosing your actions thoughtfully.
Exactly, and we'll explore how applying these concepts can not only improve your personal interactions, but also significantly boost your confidence and effectiveness as an English speaker. Stay tuned.
All right, everyone, now let's hear a real conversation. Listen closely for those key phrases we just learned. Here's a chat between Michael and Nicole about managing stress at work.
Hey, Nicole, you look a bit stressed. Everything okay?
Oh, hey, Michael. Yeah, just a bit overwhelmed with this new project. My boss just gave me some feedback that felt a little harsh, and honestly, my first instinct was to just snap back.
I totally get that. It's tough when you feel like you're being criticized unfairly. What did you do?
Well, I really wanted to react immediately, but then I remembered what we talked about, the power of not reacting. So I took a beat. I literally paused, took a deep breath, and tried to keep my cool.
Nice, that's exactly it. It's hard to do in the moment, but it makes such a difference. What happened after you took that beat?
Instead of reacting defensively, I tried to respond. I said something like, "Thank you for the feedback. Can you clarify which parts need the most attention?" Just trying to understand.
That's brilliant, Nicole. Responding instead of reacting. It turns a potential conflict into a productive conversation. Did your boss soften up a bit?
Yeah, actually. He explained more calmly, and I realized he wasn't really attacking me, just giving direct points for improvement. It felt much better than if I had just argued.
See, that's the power right there. I had a similar thing this morning. Someone in a meeting made a comment about my presentation that I thought was totally unfair.
Oh no, what did you do?
My first thought was to correct them immediately and forcefully, but then I decided to bite my tongue. It wasn't the right time or place for a debate. I just made a mental note to address it later, one-on-one.
That's smart. Sometimes saying nothing is the most powerful thing. You kept your cool in a tricky situation.
Exactly. And it saved me from potentially embarrassing myself or escalating the situation. It was about choosing to respond later, not react instantly.
I'm really trying to apply this more. Like, even with emails. Sometimes I read an email and my blood pressure just rises, and I want to type an angry reply.
Oh, definitely. That's a classic scenario for taking a beat. Draft the reply, save it, and come back to it an hour later. You'll often find you want to change it completely.
That's such good advice. It's all about that pause, isn't it? Giving yourself that moment to think before you speak or act.
Exactly. It really helps you respond, not react. It changes everything, doesn't it?
It really does. I feel less stressed already just talking about it. Thanks, Michael.
All right, everyone, welcome back. That was a great conversation between Michael and Nicole. Now let's break it down and unpack some of the fantastic language they used.
That was so relatable. I felt for Nicole when she said, "My first instinct was to just snap back." That's such a common feeling, isn't it?
Absolutely, to snap back is a great phrasal verb there. It means to respond quickly and often rudely or aggressively. It's an impulsive, emotional reaction, which is exactly what we're trying to avoid.
And Nicole immediately followed that with, "So I took a beat. I literally paused, took a deep breath, and tried to keep my cool." She used two of our key phrases perfectly.
She did, and it shows how these aren't just abstract concepts. They're practical tools you can use in real time. For a B1 learner, they might say, "I stopped and waited." But Nicole's language is much more natural and idiomatic.
Exactly. And Michael's response, "That's brilliant, Nicole," responding instead of reacting. It turns a potential conflict into a productive conversation. That line perfectly summarizes the whole point of our episode, doesn't it?
It really does, and notice how he says soften up a bit. This is a nice phrasal verb meaning to become less severe or less strict. It implies the boss's tone or attitude improved after Nicole's calm response.
Oh, that's a great one. Soften up. You could also say his attitude became more reasonable, but soften up is much more vivid and natural.
Indeed, and then Michael shared his own experience, saying, "My first thought was to correct them immediately and forcefully, but then I decided to bite my tongue." Another excellent example of choosing your response.
Yes, and he explained why. It wasn't the right time or place for a debate. That's the key, isn't it? Discretion. Knowing when and where to address something.
Absolutely, it shows a higher level of emotional intelligence and communication skill. A more basic learner might just say, "I didn't say anything," but "bite my tongue" conveys the internal struggle and the intentional choice.
And I loved their exchange about emails. Nicole said, "Sometimes I read an email and my blood pressure just rises, and I want to type an angry reply." That's me.
Haha, I think that's everyone at some point. And Michael's advice, draft the reply, save it, and come back to it an hour later. You'll often find you want to change it completely. That's a perfect practical application of taking a beat.
That was an amazing conversation, Alex. And it brings us perfectly to our next angle. How the power of not reacting can help us navigate some of the most challenging situations we face, dealing with difficult people.
Ah, yes, the age-old dilemma. Whether it's a demanding boss, a critical relative, or a frustrating colleague, we all encounter people who test our patience. And reacting impulsively often just makes things worse.
Exactly. And this is where a few more phrases come in handy. One I love is to rise above it. It means to not let someone else's negativity or bad behavior drag you down to their level.
That's a fantastic one, Sarah. Instead of getting into a shouting match or engaging in petty arguments, you choose to maintain your composure and dignity. You're not ignoring the problem, but you're choosing a more mature response.
Right, so if someone is being rude, instead of yelling back, you might just calmly say, "I understand you're upset, but I can't help if you yell." You're rising above their rudeness. A common mistake here is for learners to say, "I rise over it," but it's always rise above it.
Excellent clarification, Sarah. Another useful phrase when dealing with difficult situations is to let it roll off your back. This means to not let criticism or negative comments affect you personally. You just let them go.
Oh, I love that one. It's like you have a waterproof coat on, and the negativity just slides right off. Imagine a colleague makes a snarky comment about your presentation. Instead of dwelling on it, you just let it roll off your back and focus on the positive feedback.
Precisely, it's about building emotional resilience. A common error here is to confuse it with shrug it off. While similar, shrug it off is a more physical action, a gesture. Let it roll off your back emphasizes the emotional detachment.
That's a great distinction. And finally, when you're faced with someone who is constantly trying to provoke a reaction, you can starve them of attention. This means deliberately withholding the reaction they crave.
Yes, this is very powerful. If someone is being dramatic or trying to get a rise out of you by not reacting, you're essentially taking away their fuel. They thrive on your emotional response, so if you don't give it, their behavior often fizzles out.
Exactly. So, if a family member is constantly making sarcastic comments at dinner, instead of getting angry or defensive, you might just change the subject or give a very neutral, brief response. You're starving them of the attention their negative behavior seeks.
These are all excellent strategies. So to recap, for dealing with difficult people, rise above it, let it roll off your back, and starve them of attention. These give you the tools to approach challenging interactions with grace and control. All right, everyone, let's hear another real-world example. This time, we have Adam and Sky discussing their fitness journeys. Listen out for those new phrases we just covered.
Hey, Sky, you've been looking really fit lately. What's your secret?
Oh, thanks, Adam. It's been a journey, honestly. A lot of people had negative comments when I first started, but I just tried to let it roll off my back.
Negative comments, really? That's so unfair. What kind of things were they saying?
Oh, things like, you'll never stick with it, or why bother, you're fine as you are. But I knew what my goals were, so I just decided to rise above it.
Good for you. It takes a lot of mental strength to do that. I probably would have gotten really defensive.
Yeah, it was tough at first. Sometimes I wanted to argue back, but then I realized they were just trying to get a reaction. So, I just decided to starve them of attention.
Starve them of attention. I like that. So you just ignored their comments.
Pretty much. Or I'd give a really neutral, bland answer and quickly change the subject. They eventually stopped trying to provoke me.
Wow, that's smart. I've had similar issues with a few relatives who always criticize my career choices. Maybe I should try that.
Definitely. It's all about not giving them the power to upset you. Just let it roll off your back.
I'll try that. It's hard because they're family, so I feel like I have to respond.
You can respond, but you don't have to react emotionally. You can still be polite but firm. Like, I appreciate your concern, but I'm happy with my path.
That's a good way to put it. So you're rising above it, but still acknowledging them.
Exactly. It's about choosing your battles and protecting your peace. And look, it's helped me stay consistent with my workouts, which is what really matters.
That's inspiring, Sky. I'm going to try applying these ideas to my own life. Thanks for the advice.
Anytime, Adam, it really does make a difference.
Great conversation. Now let's break it down and compare B1 and B2 level language.
Absolutely, Sarah. That last conversation between Adam and Sky was a fantastic demonstration of our key concepts in action. Sky, in particular, used some really natural and advanced language.
She really did. Right at the beginning, Adam said, "You've been looking really fit lately. What's your secret?" This is great, natural B1, B2 level English. A B1 learner might say, "You are very fit," which is correct but less idiomatic.
Exactly, and Sky's response, "It's been a journey, honestly." This is a lovely, nuanced way of acknowledging effort. A B1 learner might just say, "It was hard work." "It's been a journey" implies a longer, more transformative process.
Yes, and then she immediately used our phrase. A lot of people had negative comments when I first started, but I just tried to let it roll off my back. Perfect usage.
Indeed, and Adam's follow-up, "That's so unfair." It's short, but it conveys empathy. A B1 learner might say, "That is not fair," which is grammatically correct, but "that's so unfair" just sounds more natural and emotionally resonant.
Then Sky says, "You'll never stick with it." This is a great example of a phrasal verb that B1 learners often struggle with. Stick with it means to continue doing something despite difficulties. A B1 might say, "You will not finish it."
And Adam's line, "Good for you," it takes a lot of mental strength to do that. "Good for you" is a very common, encouraging idiom. A B1 learner might say, "That is good for you," which is a bit too literal. Or, "You are strong," instead of "It takes a lot of mental strength."
Exactly. And Sky's explanation, "Sometimes I wanted to argue back, but then I realized they were just trying to get a reaction." Get a reaction is a fantastic B2 phrase implying a deliberate attempt to provoke. A B1 might say, They wanted me to be angry.
That's a perfect example of level difference. And then Sky's advice to Adam, you can respond, but you don't have to react emotionally. You can still be polite but firm. Like, I appreciate your concern, but I'm happy with my path. That's a masterclass in polite assertiveness.
Absolutely. And notice the use of hedging language like, I appreciate your concern. It softens the directness, making it less confrontational. A B1 learner might just say, I don't need your concern, which is too blunt.
Precisely, and Sky's final line, it's about choosing your battles and protecting your peace. Choosing your battles is a fantastic idiom for deciding what's worth your energy and what's not. A B1 would likely say, it's about deciding what is important to fight about.
That's such a great summary of the whole philosophy. So, as you can hear, both Adam and Sky used excellent English, but Sky's language demonstrated a slightly higher level of idiomatic expression and nuanced communication.
All right, everyone, let's do a quick recap of everything we covered in today's episode.
What a fantastic journey into the power of not reacting. We started by defining what it truly means, not being passive, but being intentional and thoughtful.
Exactly, and we introduced some key phrases to help you master this skill, starting with keep your cool to stay calm under pressure.
Then we had take a beat, meaning to pause and collect your thoughts before responding. And the crucial distinction, to respond, not react, choosing a considered action over an impulsive outburst.
We also learned to bite your tongue, which means holding back from saying something, often negative, that you really want to say. We heard Michael and Nicole use these in our first audio conversation about managing workplace stress.
And for dealing with those tricky situations and difficult people, we gave you more powerful tools, like rise above it, to not let negativity drag you down, and let it roll off your back, to not let criticism affect you personally.
And my favorite for deflecting drama, starve them of attention, deliberately withholding the reaction someone craves. Sky brilliantly demonstrated all these in our second conversation about her fitness journey.
So, whether you're trying to improve your personal life or boost your English fluency, remember the power of taking a moment, choosing your response, and not letting your emotions dictate your actions. These phrases will really help you sound more natural and confident.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's incredibly insightful episode on the power of not reacting.
It really was, Alex. I feel like we've given our listeners some truly actionable advice and fantastic vocabulary to put into practice immediately.
Absolutely, so thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you spending your valuable time with us.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and leave a comment with your suggestions for future topics. We love hearing from you.
Keep practicing your English, keep applying these powerful techniques, and remember that every small step leads to great progress. Until next time.
Bye, everyone. Stay calm and keep learning.